Wanna talk? So let's talk. Yeah. Talk. You wanna talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk, you wanna.
Welcome, my friends. It's Talk to Solomon time. Thank you for joining us. We have, well, been blessed with many viewers of this program, and we're an opinion show. If you don't have an opinion or don't like to hear opinions, my suggestion is you go elsewhere. Anyway, I'm Stan Solomon. I'm the host, my co-host.
Chief Steve.
And joining us after a long absence is my friend Greg Howard from the great state of Alabama. Greg, how are you?
Good evening. I'm doing fine. How are you guys?
We're just fine, and our best wishes for your mom, who I know is facing some challenges.
Well, appreciate that. Thank you very much.
All right. Our guest this half hour is my friend Larry Pratt, the Executive Director of Gun Owners of America. Larry, welcome from the District of Criminals.
Well, actually, I'm in America right now, out in Oklahoma campaigning this morning for a candidate in a hot runoff election. George fought, and we'll see next Tuesday if we get another Tea Party gun-toting constitutional maniac.
Well, that's what we need, as many of those as we can possibly get. All right, let me start the discussion tonight with a situation that took place in New York, I believe, no, in Connecticut. A 13-year-old boy was involved with three other kids, 15, 16-year-olds, in carjacking a car. When the police came up behind him, whoever was driving, not the 13-year-old, decided they were going to run from the police. They ran, they lost control of the car, and in the process, the 13-year-old was killed. Now, it's not a gun issue, but it's a police issue. It is my estimation that when that young person decided to be involved in a carjacking, their age was no longer a factor. They simply were a thief. Do you agree or disagree, or your position?
I do agree, and I think biblically and historically in our country, the age of responsibility was pegged anywhere, give or take 9 years old. By then, people clearly know the difference between right and wrong. And that 13-year-old knew what he was doing was criminal. His actions display that. He was trying to get away.
Chief?
Well, first thing is that if the police do not chase and try to apprehend criminals, then more criminals will try to commit crimes and try to flee. So the age of this perpetrator really isn't the issue. And then you get into the argument. Here's the argument that you're going to hear. Oh, they should have tracked the license plate number, or they should have done something else.
Well, even a stolen car.
Right, but I'm just telling you what the arguments are. But I also want to tell you about a story that I had from my own experience many years ago when I stopped a car not for anything other than what's called a Terry stop, which means I just had a reasonable suspicion they were about to commit a crime. And when I got that car stopped, the people that were driving it ran away, and they got away, but they had a man tied up in the trunk. They were going to kill him. So I've told that story many times because the police must be allowed to pursue criminals and catch them. That's what they're hired for.
Greg?
Chief, that's a great story. My goodness. I'm glad you were able to do what you did.
Police have no idea.
You had the right instincts.
The wheel is, or what is going on in the car. They know that they have a stolen vehicle, or they have a criminal in who is fleeing the scene of an accident, or fleeing the scene of a crime. They have a job to apprehend the person, and if the person who is fleeing refuses to stop, they have to stop them. So I read the full story. It seems that the car was full of juveniles, and the police officer, from what I can tell, did nothing wrong, and there was a gun found in the car. So you have a number of juveniles in the car. They have a vehicle that appears to have been stolen. It was being driven recklessly. Police officer had no choice but to try and apprehend this, and it ended in tragedy, but it was through no fault of law enforcement. It was the fault of the people behind the wheel. And 13 years old, you know you don't get into a stolen vehicle with a gun and evade the police.
Larry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. He clearly knew what he was doing. 13-year-old is someone who is accountable, should be held accountable, and should be, frankly, prepared to suffer the consequences. And he knew that there could be something happen that he didn't like. That's why he and the others were fleeing.
All right, let's go from that obvious, heinous crime, because to me, if you'll carjack, you'll kill. And I have no sympathy, empathy, or comfort with those who would carjack. And carjack is not the same as stealing a car. Carjack means there was someone in the car and you did something to them in order to get control of the car, whether you hurt them or scared them or whatever you did. So I'm sorry this boy is dead, but most likely the world's better off, unfortunately. Now let me ask you about...
As we might say, he's out of the gene pool.
Yeah, he's right. And he's also out of
so he gets the Darwin Award.
Yeah, he's out of the justice system. Let me ask you now about the heinous crime of laying uncooked bacon on the ground, because now that's been construed to be a hate crime if you do it where there are Muslims. This happened in New York, and of course Mayor, Iceberg has declared this is a major event. They're going to use all the resources of government to find out who left the bacon in the full view of these Muslim people. And, people have a right to their faith. And you know what? I'm Jewish. I don't like pigs, but I have to look at Janet Reno, Janet Napolitano anyway. I didn't say that. All right.
And I was going to ask, would the mayor be as equally outraged if that bacon had been left in front of a synagogue?
He wouldn't have cared. He would have said nothing, because he's the poorest excuse of a Jew that's ever existed on this earth. But anyway, let's talk about how we treat some groups with greater deference than other groups. You can urinate, defecate, and pontificate in or outside of a Christian church, and no one will do anything. But if you leave bacon or walk your dog, one guy was arrested for walking his dog in the vicinity when the Muslims were there.
That is over the top, and the people making the arrest, I frankly think they shouldn't be working as officers anymore. That is clearly an abuse of authority, and it shows that they're becoming dhimmis, the second-class citizen living under Muslim overrule, and that is very disturbing that somebody would give deference to a Muslim when, frankly, if a Muslim wants to tell us how offended he is by that, we can say, you know what, pal, you can take your Saudi Arabian passport and go back home. Chief?
Well, the first thing is, hate crimes, in my opinion, are just a worthless piece of legislation. It doesn't matter why somebody hurt somebody else. The fact is they got hurt, and they should be punished for that. But in this case, I'm not a Jew, so I really like my bacon, and I like my egg McMuffin with bacon, have them often. But I think we could use this story as a good tip for TSA. They should put some bacon on the airplanes, and these Muslim terrorists might be scared off from attacking our airplanes and our airports.
Assault with a limp weapon. Greg.
Well, first of all, I think the hate crime was using bacon in the first place. Go get some less useful pieces of pork, because I would have gladly taken all that bacon home with me and fed it to myself, my family, and myself. But seriously, this idea that we are now kowtowing to Muslims and every one of their desires. When was the last time somebody got up in arms about churches being defaced, gravestones being toppled, synagogues? Nobody talks about any other religion being assaulted by what is going on with the left in this country. Suddenly, everything is about, we have to not upset the Muslims. And Larry's exactly right. We're on the fast track to dimitude here, and I absolutely refuse to go with it. So, if we don't wise up very soon, we are going to find ourselves bowing to Sharia law, and in fact, many places we are, and we could have a whole show on that. But we have got to wake up to the fact that we are all supposed to have equal rights of worship, equal rights to express ourselves. But in this country, it seems that there's only one group that is off limits for any form of religious persecution, and that is the Muslims. And I've absolutely had enough of it.
Larry?
Here. I think we really do need to think quite consciously about speaking out, speaking back, refusing to even be silent when some Muslim was offended. Well, you're in America, pal. You're here at our deference. And really, I'm at the point where I think we ought to shut down all the mosques until Saudi Arabia lets churches be built within a quarter mile of the Kaaba and anywhere else in Saudi Arabia. And until then, no mosques in the United States. All they are is murder factories anyway.
I tweeted when I saw this story initially, the Muslims object to bacon laying around in the vicinity where they are walking. I object to Christians being crucified by Muslims. Hello?
Yes, exactly. And where's the uproar about those stories, which apparently are correct? And even if the motive, murder, hasn't been correctly attributed to crucifixion, there has been horrible persecution of Christians in Egypt, and it's gotten worse with the election of this Islamist president. And you don't hear boo from the media. Forget the president. He probably wants to go apologize again to the new Egyptian president. But this is, I think, we're on the verge of a very serious situation. If we don't tell the Muslims, you're here at our deference, you are in our country. Allah has not one legitimate interest in the United States because Allah does not exist. He was made up by Arabian imperialists some 100 years after the non-existence of the non-existent Muhammad, which there's just no evidence that he did exist. You don't even hear his name mentioned for 100 years until after his supposed death. Islam is an invention of Arabian imperialists, and I've had it. No more kowtowing to a bunch of evil people.
All right.
Well, see, but the left, they hate America, and they're friends with anyone that hates America. And since the Muslims hate America,
yes,
that's why they're buddies with the Muslims, and we got to stop them both.
All right.
Yes.
We have a story here that we're going to talk
Picked
about.
the wrong horse to back in that one, let me tell you, because the first thing the Muslims would do if they got their hands on a bunch of these liberals is they'd stone all the promiscuous women, then they'd hang all the gays.
Yeah, or they would wait till the gays got stoned. But at any rate, we do have a reality, and Larry, even though you're not there right now, you spend a great deal of time in that cesspool called Washington, D.C. Barack Obama's campaign spent more than they took in. People don't realize how inconceivable that is. They spent $10 million more than they took in. They now have less than half the amount of money on hand that Romney has, and Romney's outraising him 3-2. Can you tell me how that's being talked about and what that means?
Well, it's been noted with some sardony that he seems to run his campaign the way he runs the country, in the red. And this guy, furthermore, in outspending Romney in the last reporting period, I guess it might have been 30 days, he had a very heavy-duty negative campaign running on the media against Romney. Well, poor guy, he chose to savage Romney the very time Romney chose Ryan. And to most people's surprise, Ryan wasn't just well received, he was received like a rock star. And so after all of that red ink spending, Obama has not changed Romney's numbers one bit. And I think that's very encouraging because when we go down the stretch, it looks like Romney's going to be able to drown the guy in media advertisements, and that's an encouraging development, I think.
Well, let's talk for a moment about Romney and Ryan. I am not convinced, never will be, that Romney is a true conservative. Ryan is conservative on some issues, but there's some points where he is less conservative.
Yep.
It is my humble opinion, which I had, I think, last Tuesday for the first time, for only a moment, that this race has nothing to do with Romney or Ryan. This race has everything to do with Barack Obama and bumble-headed Biden. I don't think it would make much difference who the Republican candidate is. Now, I'm going to get to you, Larry, answer that, and I'll get the others.
I think what you're saying is another way of putting it from Mark Levin's opinion. He said it is absolutely essential that we get rid of Obama. He said, if I've got is an orange juice can to vote for to get rid of him, then I'm voting for the orange juice can. And I am so persuaded of that myself that I'm thinking of taking an orange juice can with me when I go to vote.
Well, Biden may have other plans, but go right ahead. Greg, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, this last month of July isn't the first time Obama spent himself into the red. He did it in June as well. And we had a lot of fun with that on Twitter, that how can you expect him to run the country? He can't even run a profitable campaign, or he can't even keep his campaign balances budget properly. So we had a lot of fun with that, and we've had a good time with it. But the bottom line is that Obama is running against Obama at this point. Nobody needs to do anything except watch this man implode. He's becoming increasingly angry. You can watch this man and see that he's becoming desperate. He's scared. He's grasping at straws. He's throwing everything he can against the wall, hoping something sticks. And he's not moving the numbers negatively against Ryan and Romney. And yet at the same time, the economic numbers, and this is something that you and I have talked about it many times on the show in the past. This is my area of focus. The economic numbers are starting to tick against him. The gas prices are trickling up. More and more people are falling off the welfare or off the unemployment rolls and into the abyss of just pure poverty. And as people vote their pocketbooks, which they do every election, they always have since the beginning of pocketbooks, this is going to really come back to hurt him. And Romney is going to have a huge war chest to remind people the famous question, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And nobody's going to be able to give Obama a good answer on that. The only people who will be voting for him are the people who are not paying attention, or the people who will vote for him only because he's Barack Obama and they have no brain cells operating inside their head.
Chief?
Well, Larry and Greg have made great points. I'm just going to say it real quickly that it is imperative, because freedom is on the line right now. It's imperative that we elect a Republican House, Senate, and get a Republican president so we can take control of this and stop Obamacare and all the other messes he started. And then right after that, start fixing the GOP.
Right, and I'd maybe do it at the same time. Larry, a Georgia court ruled two different ways, one way in Alabama, one way in Georgia, but bottom line is they're saying, the 11th Circuit says that they can, if someone doesn't give them valid identification, check on immigration status. The immigration issue is a big issue because Barack Obama just told 2 million people that they don't have to worry about deportation even though they're here illegally. We've had the governors of 2 states, Arizona is one, I think Oklahoma is the other, that are saying we don't care what the federal government says, no benefits for people here illegally. And some thinking that Barack Obama will give all people in America, legal, illegal, alive or dead, of course he's from Chicago, the right to vote in the upcoming election. Your thoughts?
Yes, I'm very concerned about the amnesty that he granted to all of those young illegal immigrants. They could end up getting false documents, maybe already have. Some states are still silly enough to be issuing documents to people without proper documents being presented as to who they are they eligible to be in the state. As far as I know, Maryland, my neighboring state, is one of those where illegals are able to produce some illegal documents, fabricated documents, get themselves a driver's license. And essentially, once you've got a driver's license in this country, you can do just about anything, including register to vote in Maryland.
Chief?
Well, just my condolences, but my gratitude to Governor Brewer. She's again shown that Republican women, conservative women, have more guts than the men. And so for her to stick up for us like that and for freedom like that, I think is amazing. But the liberals will lie, cheat, steal, murder to get their way. We must be on our guard, must fight back to stop them from what they're doing.
Greg?
Well, as usual, the Democrats will have to lie, cheat, and steal to win this election. And all we're seeing here is a desperate attempt on the part of Obama to flood the voter pool, to dilute our votes. And this is nothing more than a blatant attempt to disenfranchise those of us who are here legally, who are citizens, those of us like my mother, who came here legally, paid the price, did everything that had to be done to come here as a legal immigrant, go through the green card process, become a naturalized citizen during my lifetime, and to become a full-fledged American. All Obama is doing is cynically spitting in the face of everybody who has played by the rules and creating a shortcut so that he can get more votes. This is all he's doing, is diluting the voter pool and perverting our process for his own personal gain. And honestly, if this doesn't drive people to the streets, a long time ago, I thought someone said our forefathers would be shooting by now. My thought is they'd be reloading, but I honestly don't know what it's going to take to get people to wake up. But I guess at this point, we might as well wait till November and see what happens.
Larry, let me ask you about Fast and Furious. We don't have a lot of time left. I want to make sure you have ample time to discuss. There's a civil lawsuit being filed to try and force disclosure of documents. Holder's not thumbed his nose at Congress and the American people, but now he's using the full force of the Justice Department to, as Greg just said, pervert the process, to attack all photo ID, to attack all rules that would eliminate cheating. Where are we?
Well, the good news is that the House of Representatives has instructed its attorneys, and this was last week, I'm pretty sure, to present their indictment against Eric Holder to the federal court for the District of Columbia. And this is a civil complaint, which means it'll be heard relatively quickly, and the trial would be conducted well before the election, and we're on track. And even if it were to lose, it would almost certainly be appealed to the Federal D.C. Court of Appeals, and there we actually might have a reasonable chance of getting an outcome which would instruct the Attorney General to produce the documents that are being sought. And if he were to refuse to do that, he would actually go to jail. Federal marshals would go down Pennsylvania Avenue to the Justice Department and walk right through the electronic security and go up to Mr. Holder's suite and tell him that he's going to be the guest of the Department of Corrections. And that, I think, and I might have made this point before, but I think given the circumstances, Holder would be more likely to go to jail on contempt of court if he had to make that unpleasant choice than he would to go to jail based on what might come to light that might be in those documents that he and the president are so intent on keeping anybody from seeing.
The marshals work for whom?
They are actually an independent service. They're not actually under the Department of Justice. And so if they get a court order, that's what they're going to respond to.
Aren't they under the Treasury? Aren't they in the Treasury Department, the marshals?
To my knowledge, they are an independent service of the federal government.
They have to report to someone. Do they report directly to the president?
Their boss is appointed by the president.
Now I'm not sure. Somebody was explaining the part about their being independent of the Justice Department, and I didn't think to ask what you did. I will try to have an answer for that.
Well, I think they're part of the United States Treasury Department, and I think their boss is Tim Geithner, which doesn't portend well. But we will find those things out.
And most of the deputy marshals are appointed by the president directly.
Yeah, for the various areas.
Yes.
The marshals in all the different areas are appointed by the president.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Well, I would assume that the marshals would respond to a court order lest they be held in contempt of court. That would be getting all too complicated.
All right. We have just a minute or two left. Let me ask you about the, what's come out, and that Barack Obama is now only granting interviews to those people that will accept his instruction as to what questions they can ask, which is why he hasn't gone with the national media, even though he did make an appearance to jump on that Missouri Republican candidate, who, by the way, is not dropping out, and I might say, thank you, brother. But what are you hearing about Obama's, because you heard that Newsweek or saw that Newsweek story where they said basically hit the road, Jack, we need a new president. That's Newsweek. I mean, that's an organ of the Democrat Party.
That's right. If you lose Newsweek, it's kind of equivalent of the Democrat national chairman, national committee chairman, saying the same thing. It's this is a Democrat newsletter called Newsweek. It's really not very shy about telling you where its leanings are, and for them to be so disgusted, I guess that he hasn't been effective enough at accomplishing his Marxist agenda, and now he's got himself in political jeopardy. That would be my guess why they're ticked.
Let me ask Greg. Greg, your thoughts?
Well, actually, I read the Newsweek piece, and what it was actually a pretty good scathing rebuke of his inability to do anything with the economy. Obama inherited, we can argue that all night, his economy that was not in good shape, but it was certainly not as bad as he has created at this point. So what we have at this point is an economic situation that is falling further and further and further. Niall Ferguson did a fantastic job of exactly detailing all the things that Obama promised to do with the economy and how he has failed so badly. So for Newt to actually run this, I wonder if there was maybe a reason of trying to get some cash out of the paper before it goes out, or the magazine before it goes out of print. You know, they are leaving print. They're owned by the Daily Beast now. They were sold for $1. That's how much they're worth. They were sold. They were sold to the Daily Beast for a whopping price of $1. The Daily Beast owns them. They're leaving print because nobody's going to buy it, but maybe this was their last chance to get some money out of the printing presses before they shut them down. I think I'm personally going to buy that one issue just so I can frame that one as the one and only time in the past 4 years that Newsweek told the truth, because along the way they've had numbers of covers with him with halos around his head. It looks like he was walking on water in one of them. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous what they've tried to foist upon us. But this one I may frame and take I'll take the inside portion of it and use it for puppy training.
Hey, you know what? You forgot the issue where they had him as the first gay president, and he was walking on Vaseline. Go ahead, Larry.
Well, I think this is an awfully good way to get a newspaper collection started. It's it's really astounding to me that they would do this and break ranks. I realize they're disappointed that he hasn't done all that they expected of him, but he has been a pretty good socialist. And see, for them to be upset with him for the economy, it shows that they don't understand economics any better than the president does. Overregulation, intimidating businessmen, creating a climate of fear so that people are afraid to invest isn't the way you jumpstart an economy. And as unexcited as I am about Romney, he is not going to threaten the business community.
By the way, we're just about out of time. If you look carefully at that edition, Newsweek is spelled N-E-W-S-W-E-A-K. I don't know why. At any rate, Larry, tell people how they can get your updates, and then we'll bid you good evening.
We're at gunowners.org, and we would love for people to go there and to gunowners.org and take advantage of the free email alert list. It's generally weekly, and it's your way to find out what's going on Capitol Hill with the kinds of issues that Gun Owners of America covers. So please do that. Be part of the citizen lobby that has really made a difference up on Capitol Hill. Once again, gunowners.org.
Larry Pratt, Executive Director of Gun Owners of America, thank you for your time. Look forward to having you back in 2 weeks. We'll be right back, folks.
Thank you for the show, Stan.
Thank you. We'll be back with Major General Jerry Curry and Greg Howard and Chief Steve and me right here on Talk to Sullivan. You have a computer, if you're alive today, which means you have a hard drive, which means it's going to break down. Mosey, the backup people, for thousands, for Stan, for thousands of people, for tens of thousands of people, is simply common sense. You go to cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and sign up. It's just a few dollars a month. Let me tell you something. We had a break-in. They stole our whole computer. You know what? When they take the computer, you can't recover anything, but we had Mosey. We had the backup. We were able to restore everything simply by buying another computer. cpnlive.com, click on the icon for Mosey, the backup people, and give yourself common sense, peace of mind, great value, the best thing you've ever done. Sooner or later, it's going to be Mosey, the backup people. I like to eat. Do you like to eat? We all do. And usually we run to the grocery store, we run to the convenience store, or we have something in the fridge. But power's been out in parts of this country in the last few weeks. We don't know what's going to come down the pike economically. Smart people are putting in food. Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves is a line of foods that you can put away that will last for a very long time. You know, they say eat what you store and store what you eat. This is great tasting stuff, healthy for you, a full line. You go to our website, cpnlive.com, and click on the button for Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves and see all the different things we have. This is good tasting food. It's reasonably priced. It will last. And it's worth its weight in gold if a problem arises. I know you don't think there's going to be anything that goes wrong. Actually, you do. This is smart. This is smart insurance. This is smart preparation. This is smart thinking. You have kids, you have a spouse, you have parents, you have dependents, you have an appetite. All those things can be addressed by a frugal but smart investment in Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves. Try them out. You will be tickled to death with the taste of them. You know what? In many cases, people start to eat this and they think, heck, this tastes better and costs less than what you're going to the grocery store to buy. cpnlive.com, check it out. Hey, my name is Stan Solomon, and you know if I have something to say, I'll say it. And I'll only tell you the truth because I'm a Republican, not a Democrat. Democrats always lie. Republicans only lie half the time. I don't lie at all. This is the Fuel Mule. It's an extraordinary product that was developed by a friend of mine, an engineer, and it increases the fuel mileage on your vehicle. If you have a combustion engine, this will increase your mileage by 10 to 20%. It bolts around your fuel line. You can install it yourself or have your mechanic do it. It is an extraordinary item and it flat works. I've been using it for more than 10 years. It's increased my mileage on every vehicle I put it on, and by the way, it will last forever. You can get rid of your vehicle, just take it off and put on the next one. Go to cpnlive.com. You'll have more information there. You can order it right there. We absolutely guarantee you'll be satisfied. The Fuel Mule. It's a way to kick down your cost of fuel and kick up your mileage. Don't you love the name? I thought of it. The Fuel Mule. Let me ask you a question. Do you like being sick? I have in my hand an incredible product. It's called TR10 Supercolloidal Silver. TR10 stands for a trace to the negative 10th power. The particles in this silver product are 6 to 8 angstroms, 6 to 8 10 billionths of a meter. Now listen to me. Silver has been the magic bullet for all of human existence. The Egyptians used silver instruments. We use silverware. They put silver in your teeth because nothing can grow on silver. Silver will kill anything but liberalism. I'm working on that. This product, you go to cpnlive.com, buy 1 quart of this product. It will last you for a very long time. Anytime you feel like you've been exposed to something bad, take some of this product, spray it in your mouth, or take a little bit and gargle it, swallow it. It will kill any pathogen. The average antibiotic kills 10 to 20 different pathogens. This product will kill 700 plus. Do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, do your doctor a favor. He's tired of seeing you. Get Supercolloidal Silver. Go to cpnlive.com, order the product. It's $29.95 plus shipping. I think it's $39.95 delivered any place in America right to your door. It's worth 10 times that. Check it out. If you're not 100% happy, just return it and we'll give you your money back.